I'm Uriah of Murobo, and today I will be showing you how to assemble the Atlas 3D scanner. Before we get started, you need to have the full contents of the kit and all of the 3D printed parts. The parts can be printed in ABS or PLA. This particular scanner was printed with PLA. Throughout the assembly of the kit, you will be in contact with electronic devices. You will need to make sure that you ground yourself before touching them. Failure to ground yourself can result in the destruction of the devices. In order to assemble the frame, first place the frame connector into the frame section 2. Use the letter B nuts and the letter A flat screws in order to connect the two parts. With your finger, hold down the nut while with your other hand you screw in the screw. Do the same for all 3 screws. Connect the other frame section 2 to the frame connector in order to have 2 joined frame section 2 parts. Attach frame section 2 to the frame connector the same as the first portion was attached. Attach another frame connector to the end of the frame section 2. Connect frame section 3 to the frame connector. Connect another frame connector to the end of the opposite frame section 2. Now that one side of the frame is complete, we will begin to assemble the second side. The assembly of the other side is identical to the assembly of the first side. Once both sides are assembled, they need to be connected. To connect the 2 portions of the frame, attach the 4 crossbar elements to one side of the frame by utilizing the B nut and A screw. Attach the motor to the same side of the frame. In order to attach the motor, we will utilize the C washer and the D socket cap hex screw. Place tape over the nuts of the crossbar to prevent the nuts from falling out. We will now join the two frame sections. Use the A screw to connect frame sections via the crossbar. Use the D screw and C washer in order to connect the other frame section to the motor. Remove the tape after the sections are connected. Attach the power plug to the electronics board. This can be done by pressing down on the button at the top while inserting the wire into the hole on the side. Either wire can go into either hole. Attach the top Raspberry Pi case to the camera tower with the A screws and B nuts. Remember to remove the printed support that is in the middle of this section. Insert the leads for the lasers through the hole on the top Raspberry Pi case. Attach the lasers to the electronics board. The left laser is closest to the end of the board. The colors are red-black for the left laser, followed by red-black for the right laser. Press down on the buttons and insert the wires into the top of the connector. Once you release the buttons, the wires should be held firmly in place. Attach the electronics board to the camera tower. This is done with the D screw followed by a C washer going up into the part and through the board, followed by a C washer and a B nut. Unscrew the fastener for the power plug and place the power plug into the cutout in the camera tower. Screw the fastener onto the other side of the camera tower so that the plug fits firmly into the model. Place tape over all of the nuts of the frame connectors so that they do not fall out once we are joining the camera tower to the frame. Connect the motor to the electronics board. The order is green, black, red, then blue. Connect the ribbon cable to the electronics board. Ensure that the white strip faces the far end of the board. Join the camera tower to the frame by pressing firmly. Use A screws to join the camera tower to the frame. Use D screws and C washers to join the top of the frame to the camera tower. Attach the camera shaft to the camera tower with D screws, C washers, and B nuts. Attach each laser arm to the camera tower with D screws, C washers, and B nuts. The screws are inserted from the bottom of the part. Use the final crossbar in order to attach the feet to the end of the scanner. Use a D screw and a C washer followed by the B nut in order to attach the feet. Attach the feet to the other end of the scanner. Use a D screw and C washer followed by a C washer and B nut on the other end. Attach the laser holders to the laser arm. Use a D screw and C washer followed by a B nut on the bottom. Do the same for the opposite side. Insert the lasers into the laser holder. Use a D screw and C washer followed by a B nut to hold the laser in place. Do the same for the other side. Attach the Raspberry Pi to the bottom Raspberry Pi case. Use the E screw, F nut, and H washer to attach the Raspberry Pi to the case. Tweezers can help to hold the nuts in place while you are attaching the Raspberry Pi. Insert the SD card for the Raspberry Pi. The metal contacts should be pointed up. Use the hex wrench to push the SD card into the Raspberry Pi if you are not able to do it with your finger. Attach the camera bracket to the camera arm using D screws, C washers, and B nuts. Next, attach the front camera case using D screws, C washers, and B nuts. Attach the parts to the camera shaft. Connect the cable carriers to each other by snapping them together. These are already pre-connected. Connect the cable carriers to the top Raspberry Pi case. Insert the camera into the front camera case. Feed the camera cable through the cable carrier. Connect the cable carrier to the front camera case. Ensure that the camera fits tightly in the case. If the camera is loose, use cardboard or some other material in order to create a firm connection. Connect the camera to the Raspberry Pi. Ensure that the metal contacts point down. Ensure that the cable is inserted evenly into the connector. Pull up to open the connector. Press down to close the connector and hold the cable in place. Connect the ribbon cable to the Raspberry Pi. Ensure that the white strip points down. Connect the lower Raspberry Pi case to the upper Raspberry Pi case. Attach the camera tower front plate. Insert the Wi-Fi dongle. Tighten all of the screws of the frame. Cut the table liner to fit the turntable. This can be done by running a sharp knife along the edges of the table. Be careful not to cut yourself. Insert B nuts into the bottom of the table coupler. Use tape to hold them in place. Insert 2 B nuts into the top of the table coupler and a D screw in order to hold the cable coupler onto the motor. Attach the table to the table coupler. Use G screws to hold the table onto the table coupler. Assembly is now complete. Attach the power cable to the back of the electronics board. Plug in the power adapter. Once on, a light should come on from the Raspberry Pi. Once the scanner is ready, the camera light should also come on. Thank you.